Lesson number 6, text in small doses. See, an important thing is that you can neither do a lot of text telling about solution. Imagine this was your solution and it was only told in text. Nobody would understand that. You can't then not do only an illustration without relating to something, text or something else. And the relations will come in the next lesson, but for this lesson number 6, we'll talk about the text. See, I showed you a bit about framing and arranging horizons and so before. And I'll use this again. See, now I actually took this and redid it, so I just had something to begin with. And I didn't finish this frame because I will add some text. There's something I feel is important. And you need to tell somebody that, oh, this is maybe 15 centimeter European measurements, 15 centimeters long that way. You need to tell something like this is circular holes. And we keep it very sketchy. You need to tell this is maybe more important. This is you figured out that you wanted to do it in paper. It has to be foldable. And then we have to, you maybe think, oh, I made a small model. Yeah, I made simply a mock-up of some paper. And then it has to fold. So we say fold line. And you just write this on the sketch because you can redraw it and it'll probably be much better and it'll add more ideas when you redraw it. So what we actually are working for is like to telling something about the information that we need to know about this, the solution, the Stomer guide from Coloplast. You need to tell something about maybe it has to be light, disposable, it has to be free of charge, and all that kind of stuff. And then what I did was, as you see, I add some text now, and this is what I add, and I put an arrow saying this is information I need to know about the thing. I need to have maybe you can print it yourself. So when you sit out there and you do this, add words and don't be afraid to do that. Then you take your pen. I take my color pen, I use the red here. You can use a blue or gray or whatever. Not a gray, because it's a black, but a blue or green or something. Orange. And I say this is important key points. So paper is important. Circular holes is important. 15 centimeters is important because it's a maximum bag size. I don't know exactly if this is true, but this is just an idea. And you need to have from, this is important, smallest to the biggest. So this up is large, and this is small. And this is half a hole. As you see here, this measures the diameter. It's not a full hole like down here, but it tells you about the size. And these things, key issues. So this is maybe important to emphasize. This is important to emphasize. And in that sense, you tell some things, and it's still very sketchy. But now you can add, to make this sketch light up, then you can work with the technique we had before about the framing. Now you can add some frames saying, okay, now I need to frame this somehow to add something. And remember, when you look at a thing, a little technique too, can you see down here? You have the shadow. You have the shadow underneath. So you have the shadow to two sides because the lights come from here down like here. So you have shadows here. So what you can actually do is you can also emphasize a little bit on these two sides. In that sense, so come down. In that sense, we add a little depth to it, also free of charge. And suddenly, this seems more three-dimensional, even if it's two-dimensional. See, this is only one way working to our main idea, which is the subject is to make a finished illustration telling about a lot of information. So that when you see this illustration, you know about this. The product idea, your solution idea, you know about where it's happening, where it's used, and you know about some relations it has to something, maybe a cellular phone or a stoma bag or something. So, text in small doses, this is enough, just keywords, but it helps a lot to understand. Now, this final keyword could be that you maybe need to say, okay, this is my stoma, this is the size, but this is my stoma bag. Same height. Maybe. This is just, this is just things I have in my mind. I don't know if it's true that this is the same height, but it's important to emphasize that this is a rule, maybe for the product. Now, you added some text. We have much more understanding. You use the technique of the framing. You use a little shadow. I taught you a little bit about the shadows. Let's look at some paper here. I'll take a paper away. See? Can you see the shadows here? And we just emphasize them. Instead of making the shadows on the table, we just emphasize the lines there. You probably remember doing that as when you were small and you do it with letters. So in that sense, we got some lessons here. And good luck, and remember, text in small doses.